ever had those confused feelings where you're trying to explain yourself, your partner or work colleague brings up something associated with the conversation that is sort of true but not really true? It can leave your head spinning, your emotions reeling, and you wonder what the hell just happened. Well, this could be projection. Hi, I'm Sophie from Trident Wellbeing, and I'm a mind and wellbeing coach. If you like what I have to say, please subscribe, and if you think it could help someone else today, share it, as you never know what will resonate and help someone else. Now, the simplest way to explain projection, in my opinion, is that when you're with someone and they are telling you what you are doing and saying and feeling, yet you know this isn't true. They are really being somewhat self-absorbed and focusing on what they think and feel and making presumptions about your intent. It feels extraordinarily judgmental. It creates confusion or cognitive dissonance in you because it was not your intent. Yet you've been given a new intent and then criticized for it. Usually it also comes as a surprise, as you may think you've been transparent in your communication. This is a form of manipulation. Most of us don't want to create confusion. We try to communicate our feelings, our objectives, and our ideas clearly, and for the most part as honestly as we can. However, if your partner takes those and kind of twists them about, we're left with our head spinning, our heart racing, and often great feelings of injustice. Usually, because this has been done so sudden, though, we tend to react in ways, and this will then feed into their projection. I remember sitting in a counselling session with my partner and being told I was bad with all things I do with money. This came right out of left field, as we hadn't been discussing this. Now, part of the statement resonated because, as a couple discussing and requiring dual signatures, we'd bought and sold property at less than the optimum pricing. And whilst living overseas, under false pretexts and dates, I'd wanted to come back to Australia and visit my family. Yes, there was more costs then with each flight, so there were part truths and there were part that were slightly off and a bit different. The unexpected nature of the conversation was just overwhelming. I felt overwhelmed with the injustice of it, and also feeling upset, fumbling for words, and shocked that it had actually happened. I didn't have the capacity at the time to point out that I'd been keeping a spreadsheet for years on our expenses, that I'd been saving and being frugal with our money, even though we'd been told by my partner I was not to shop at any of the cost-effective retail outlets. I didn't point out that all those big purchases and decisions that we had made had been discussed and agreed upon by both of us. I didn't stress that it needed his signature to sign off on the sales as well. I also didn't go down that dusty track of reminding him that he bought the property at too high a price, let tenants live in it for too cheaply, and that they didn't maintain it. I didn't remind him all these things that we did that were so expensive because I was part of those decisions, and trying to explain them just would have come off as defensive, and largely because my head was still spinning from the shock of the statement. Yet the projection of all that was made in front of the counsellor, and I was left feeling embarrassed, sad, and mortified. You see, for those that are very clever, they can do this type of projection in such a way that others believe them. And if you try and put context around it, you come across as defensive or even trying to lie, or so I thought. It wasn't until years later that I saw how many times this type of thing had been happening and how poorly I then reacted. This is how abusive people tend to slowly chip away at our self-esteem. They make projections which become judgments based on part facts, and we as caring people, honest people, take the true bit, try and explain the other parts, and generally just come off feeling worse. If you then get angry, this feeds into their self-belief that they were right, and worse still, it feeds into your beliefs that again you haven't handled it well. And if you really go down that slippery slope, you start thinking how lucky you are that they put up with your erratic emotions, that you need to try harder, as who else is going to put up with you? So I'm here to tell you today that before you judge your own behaviour and beliefs, I want you to ask yourselves these very simple questions if you suspect that your partner is projecting their feelings and views. Is what they said true? If it is, what part of it is true? What part of it is rubbish? Is the person saying it an accurate judge of what actually happened, or are they listening to other people or gossip or making judgments on what they think occurred? Is their communication constructive or destructive? If it's the latter, for what gain? As somebody who cares about you doesn't want to be destructive. Do you have counterexamples that you know make these projections untrue? And if so, what are they? Now, you don't need to communicate these to abuser as if they're narcissistic in nature. And abusers are, as otherwise they wouldn't want to conduct behaviour that hurts you or hurts someone that they care about. But by knowing them, it means you can take back control of your feelings. It means that cognitive dissonance will dissolve, and more importantly, it means that you'll now be able to respond differently and not react emotionally in ways that you don't like yourself later or regret. And this is very empowering. You have time to literally breathe, to do a self-check, and then choose the next step. By not allowing their projections in, you'll feel better, have more strength, more respect for yourself, and a whole bunch of different beliefs about who you are. So until next time, I wish you much love, peace and strength. Please subscribe and share. There are times when we all need a little help.